We have made it to the trade deadline here in year number 5 of the Chicago White Sox franchise here on MLB The Show 25. And our team is in an interesting spot as we currently sit at exactly 500 at 53-53, only 2 games out of first place in the division. We've had the lead in the AL Central for most of the year, but we had a really hard schedule here in July, and things did not go very well, especially ever since the All-Star break. Yeah, it's been rough. We started out of the All-Star break on a 7-game losing streak. Now, luckily, we've won our previous 2, but it's been tough sledding for a team who once looked maybe not like a lock for the playoffs, but it would have taken a lot for us to not make it. And now we're still in, but we're hanging on for dear life. Currently, we are the final wild card in the American League, but there are a number of teams right on our tail. We've had to go through the month of July without our best player, Luis Robert, who's on the injured list with a broken hand. And there has been a very noticeable difference in terms of how the team has played ever since he got injured. So the game he got hurt was the game we scored 13 against Cincinnati. We won 3 of 4 after that, but then 0-7 out the gates since the All-Star break. Yes, we won 2 in a row since then, but the team has not played well without him. He's still in second place for the MVP and still third in the American League in WAR, which shows how good he was playing before he got injured, and we have certainly missed him. His contract for next year continues to go up and up and up, not just given, how well he's played, but also clearly how valuable he is for us and how much our team has missed him since his injury. Our team has gotten very unlucky with injuries this year, and as you can tell, the roster really has changed a lot since the opener. And now that kind of poses the question of what we need to do at the trade deadline in terms of buying or selling. I think if this was the NFL or the NBA, the easy choice would be to sell because it's clear that this team has a lot of flaws, and as it's currently constructed, it's hard to see this group making a postseason run. However, roster building in baseball is a little bit different. And in the MLB, as long as you're in the postseason, you've got a chance. Even though we're only 500 right now and we're not playing well as of recent, if we make it into the dance, we have a shot to win the whole thing. So because of that, I feel like we would be doing a disservice to not try to make this team better, especially given that we could absolutely win the division or at the very least grab a wild card spot, and we don't have that many super big contracts on the books that we have to focus on. We do have a lot of guys who are free agents at the end of the year. Luis Robert, Ketel Marte, Bryce Miller, a large chunk of the bullpen. We might not have as good of an opportunity with a roster that is this talented. So I think we need to make some big swings. Obviously, we need to be smart and protective of certain prospects, but it's clear we need to add another bat. It's clear we need to add another starter to the rotation. I think the bullpen as is probably fine, but the offense needs more juice, and the pitching rotation certainly could use another addition. As we look at the trade block, there are not a whole lot of names there that really tempted me. There are not a lot of good pitchers here to begin with because good starting pitching come playoff time is not easy to find, but I'm not really interested in a whole lot of these players. So then I got to thinking, what type of skill set do I think we need? And with Daniel Schneeman's season-ending injury in the last episode, I want to get someone like him, who has a lot of positional flexibility defensively, and he's obviously good defensively. The offense is really solid. He's good with runners on base. He can hit lefties especially. He can hit righties to an extent as well. So I did some digging. I figured we had to at least make some phone calls for the big fish. I don't think we're going to get one of Paul Skeens or Jared Jones, but it's worth a shot. They're both free agents at the end of the year. The Pirates are sellers. Now, Skeens has not had a great year. That could mean it's easier to get him. Jared Jones, meanwhile, super consistent, but obviously not as talented as Skeens. And I quickly realized that these two guys are very much out of our price range. So it's not going to be one of them. Elly De La Cruz is in the same boat. He's a free agent at the end of the year. He's been disappointing this season, and the Reds are not really contending. He as well, I think, is out of our price range, though. I would not give away Bryce Miller for him. What about someone like Junior Caminero on the Rays, who has an extra year left, or James Wood with the Nationals, who has, as well, an extra year after this one? Wood is currently injured for another 3 to 4 weeks, while Caminero just hasn't been that good this year. But both of those guys actually seem to be quite a bit easier to get. This offer for Caminero feels like a fleece in our perspective. Douglas Cato hasn't been good this year. Brian Ramos is currently in the minors. For James Wood, it would be more expensive. He is better, though, in my opinion, than Junior Caminero. Another option would be Geraldo Perdomo. He's hitting .329. He's having a great year at short for Arizona. The Diamondbacks are kind of in it in the National League. They would need a lot to go their way, but they're good enough to make the playoffs, I guess. I think maybe we need to set our sights a little bit smaller, though. I took a look at Jesus Luzardo with the Blue Jays. He's not a bad choice. He's having a really good year. Over his last 10 games, he's been awesome. But we already have a lot of lefties in the rotation. I think someone like Taj Bradley in Tampa Bay could make more sense. He's also having a really good year, and he's been more consistent throughout his career than Jesus Luzardo. The price tag is going to be a little bit more, but I think we're getting a better player and a guy who I would say I trust a little bit more. I wanted to see if we could get him and Caminero. We would have to give up one of our top two catchers. That's not happening. So I found a deal for just Bradley that I think I like. Seamus Garrison, 4th-round pick last year. This is a loss for us. I liked him a lot as a prospect, and I think he's having a really strong season in Double-A. He's a good piece going to Tampa Bay, along with Connor Belliard, a 5th-rounder in 2027. He hasn't really played out of Single-A much. I think Garrison's the bigger loss of the two, but I think it's worth it for Taj Bradley. He's a really good number 2, number 3 starter. He is a free agent at the end of the year, so he is probably a rental, but I think it's worth it. Our starting rotation, as currently constructed, is not good enough. I do want to add another bat. I think James Wood or Junior Caminero could work, but what about Cam Smith, who's really broken out this season? The Astros have finally taken the training wheels off of him, and he's been really impressive. He's got 2.5 years left of team control, so this would not be a rental. This would be a long-term addition. The price tag is a bit much, understandably so, but I don't think it's unreasonable. Keep in mind, we only have 2 top 100 prospects. We do not have a great farm system. We do not have anybody ranked after number 30 on the top 100 list. But we would probably have to give up a pretty good one. Maybe someone like Jeff Argue, our number 5 prospect. William Bergola, the 16th ranked prospect. And Casey Salk, who I think would be right outside the top 20. Losing Argue is a big deal. I like him a lot. He was a 3rd rounder in 2027. Lefty arm, really high stamina rating, so I think he'll be able to stick as a starter. And the production in Double-A this year has been really impressive. Even though he's ranked 5th in our system, I would say he's probably more like 3rd or 4th, and certainly a fringe top 100 guy. William Bergola, only 24 years old, a talented young infielder who's been inconsistent throughout his career. But again, I like his skill set. I like his talent level. And then Casey Salk. He's having a nice year in Double-A, OPS above 700. This is a big return. We're giving up quite a bit here, Argue in particular, but I think it's worth it to get a guy like Cam Smith, along with Ethan Pecco, who's a solid starter. He's having a nice year in Double-A, but he only has D potential. I really like the addition, though, of Cam Smith. Good contact, good power, really good defensively. Primarily a third baseman, but he can play shortstop. He can play the corner outfield spots. And best of all, he has 2 more years of team control after this. The farm system looks a little bit weak, I feel like, after those 2 trades, but I think it's worth it. We're getting 2 needle-moving players. Taj Bradley has better numbers than all of our starters this year. And Cam Smith, I think, is a guy we can build around moving forward. He's a guy who's going to play every day. He can play a bunch of different positions. He plays good defense. So Prelander Barola and Chase Maidroff will go down to the minors, as those 2 guys will replace their roster spots. Maidroff was a tougher decision. His numbers from last year to this year are basically identical in every category except for errors. He has not been good defensively this year. I thought about Colson Montgomery. I know his numbers are overall pretty solid, but much of that is because he had that really good first month, and ever since then he just hasn't been very good. But remember, we're out of options on him, and I still want to believe in the talent enough to stick it out with him. But if he continues to struggle, then we may have to potentially put him on waivers. So our lineup looks quite a bit better, in my opinion. I think Cam Smith isn't necessarily a superstar, but he's a really good connective piece for a lineup. A guy who can hit in the middle, a guy who can play at a different spot every day, a guy who has a reliable and sturdy skill set, while Taj Bradley goes to the rotation, and we're going to move Jagger Haynes to the bullpen. He started the year off well. I think he's kind of hit the rookie wall, if you will, and I think giving him less innings, giving him a bullpen role probably will best suit him. Let's talk about some trades across the rest of baseball now. With the AL being wide open, you got to imagine teams in our position are going to be buyers. Minnesota, Cleveland, maybe the Athletics, who have over 60 wins. And then those top dogs in the NL, that league looks like a dogfight. So the top teams in the NL are going to have to make big moves to stay afloat. Well, let's start with the biggest of them all. Paul Skeens is going to the Giants. So I just don't see a world where Pittsburgh brings him back. He's on the last year of his deal. He hasn't been good this year for his standards. And he's going to probably want $400 million, and that's just not in Bob Nutting's budget. So they're going to send him away to the Giants. We're only a game and a half out of first place behind the super team Dodgers. The Giants could use another starter. Now, they're giving up a lot of prospects. Jackie James, their first-rounder last year, a potential. Jayesh Aurora in AAA, he's hitting above 300. I think he could be a big league contributor sooner rather than later. Mario Castro, very solid in his own right. I had a hard time figuring out the compensation for Skeens because, for one thing, there's not a lot of teams who can take on his $37 million salary, but also he's tricky because he looks like he could be the best pitcher of this generation. But he's also not having a good year and is a rental. He expires at the end of the season. The Pirates are not done, though, with their fire sale. They will be trading away Jared Jones as well. Jones is a lot more reliable, at least compared to Skeens this year. His numbers are consistently solid. Never been a great player, but a really good, I would say, number 2 starter. He's going to the Royals in our division. They'll be trading away Elvis Rincon, a first-rounder a couple years ago in 2027, and Boris McRae, their first-rounder in 2026. So these are 2 big-time prospects going to the Pirates for Jones, who's a rental, granted a really good one. And then the final part of Pittsburgh's fire sale is Amed Rosario, an all-star this year, going to the Rangers, hitting .328. He is mashing the ball. The one weakness on this Rangers team is second base. Yordes Valdez just isn't good enough. Otherwise, this Rangers team looks like they could easily get back to the World Series. They are pretty comfortably the best team in the American League right now, trading away Mike Jones and a couple of relievers. I think this is a steal, though, for the Rangers, getting a year and a half of Amed Rosario at that price. Pittsburgh, meanwhile, adds their 1st, 2nd, 5th, and 18th ranked prospects with those trades, completely rebuilding the farm system. James Wood is on the move. He is also now going to our division. He is a Minnesota Twin. The Nationals are really bad, and, well, the clock is ticking with James Wood. He has a year and a half left on his deal. Keep in mind, he is currently injured with a broken arm. He'll be out for around 3 to 4 weeks, so Minnesota is not going to have access to him until probably the end of the month. But he's a really good player, and he just doesn't really fit the Nationals' timeline. So he's going to Minnesota for Walter Yamaguchi, first-rounder in 2027, really good young prospect. Walker Jenkins, former top 5 pick, hasn't really worked out in Minnesota. And then Joe Samuels, a B potential second baseman. This is a pretty similar package to that of Skeens. Paul Skeens is better than James Wood, but James Wood has the extra year on his contract. Christopher Sanchez going to the A's. The Rays traded for him a couple years ago in a buy low move, and it ended up working out because he's kind of resurrected himself over the last year and a half with the Rays, and now they're going to maximize on that value, being a selling team, by trading him to the Athletics, who are quietly the 3rd best team by record in the AL. The big fish going to the Rays is Armando Mendez, and in case you recognize that name, we almost drafted him. Instead, we picked a player who fell down the board by the name of Ezra Valenzuela. Fair to say we made a good decision there. Third baseman Rusty Kidd is also going to the Rays. That is an elite name. Good get, though, for the A's, really getting a big fish through the rotation. Jesus Luzardo's going to the Dodgers. They need another starter. They haven't called up their generational pitcher yet, Jose Carmona. And Luzardo's really the only starter on the market who fits their budget. They couldn't get Paul Skeens or the other guys because they couldn't afford them. It's a 1-for-1 swap for Tom Herman. I think this is a really good deal for the Dodgers. He's not some great prospect, and you're getting a guy in Luzardo who slides into the rotation perfectly. The Tigers are trading Matt McClain and Parker Meadows to the A's. Another big move for the Athletics. They're pushing their chips to the front of the table. I love the aggressiveness. The Tigers are in last place in the AL Central. Tarek Skubal's been hurt since April. Max Clark has been hurt since May. They're bowing out of the race, and they are trading their 2 big free agents at the end of the year with Meadows and McClain to try to kind of hit the reset button a little bit and try to go for it again next year. Remember, the A's signed Riley Green this offseason from Detroit, so it's a Tiger reunion. Brent Bellamy is the big addition going to the Tigers along with Guillermo Rodriguez and Guillermo Correa. Three pretty solid prospects, but no one who necessarily moves the needle enough to where I think Oakland's going to lose sleep at night trading those guys away. And this rotation and lineup is starting to look kind of good for the A's, although they've got to be able to pay all these guys. Elly De La Cruz is going to the Phillies. So he has not had a great year this season with the Reds, but it's easy to see why the Phillies want him. Obviously, the talent with him is really exciting. The Phillies don't really have a need in the infield, but they're going to have to find a way to make it work. Xaviano Elio, Clay Fully Love, and Nikal Puaka-Grego are going to the Reds. This is a nice return for a rental, I think, for Cincinnati. And then for the Phillies, they won the World Series last year. Why not go for it again? They are as good as the Dodgers and the Giants in the National League. So most of the teams in contention ended up buying. The Orioles couldn't because they don't have the budget. Cleveland didn't, but they're getting healthy. Lars Nootbaar has not played all year. He's coming back from an ACL injury. In the NL, the Mets are in the same boat. Francisco Lindor is healthy for the first time this year. The Brewers cannot afford anyone. The Cubs are really the only surprise team who didn't make a move. I tried to find one for them. There just wasn't really a trade that made sense. All right, let's talk about our wheel spins today. Last time around, we had Hayden Wesneski. I was curious to see if the wheel spin ended up hurting him. It did not. He only allowed 3 runs over his last 4 starts. He just happens to be the man. Even with the addition of Taj Bradley, and even with Hagen Smith coming back at some point this month, we cannot take Hayden Wesneski out of the rotation. He's too good. So we're going to have to figure out somebody else. As for our spin today, I think we're going to go with Cam Smith. Our new addition from the Houston Astros. He's having a great year. The power's been impressive. The defense has been solid. Pretty good plate skills. He's going to be a big X factor for us the rest of the way this year. Oh, there's a good one. Boosted. Temporary plus 15 boost to all hitting stats for the month. So his contact and power go up by 15. He is now a 96 overall for the month of August. That's pretty exciting. As for some of our wheel spins in the last episode, Jarren Duran, he ended up striking out 20 times. You lose 0.3 plate vision for every strikeout, so he ended up losing 6. Jesse Romero, crisscross. Well, they ended up crisscrossing him to the minor leagues. So I guess the Yankees didn't really like his wheel spin. Otherwise, a lot of injuries in the last episode. The wheel was not very kind. As for the division we're going to spin today, it's the National League West. We'll start with the Dodgers. They are the best team in the league. They are the favorites to win the World Series. I feel like we're going to do Gunnar Henderson. He is their best player. He is quickly becoming one of the best players of this generation. And the Dodgers have him on their team for the next 10 years. Why do the baseball gods hate us all? Bombs away, +1 power for every home run hit. Well, his power against righties is already at 98, but it might help his power against lefties, which is one of his few weaknesses. Even though the Dodgers are a super team, the Giants are only a game and a half back, and they just acquired the most talented pitcher in baseball. For their wheel spin, I'm going to pick Matt Chapman, who doesn't have the eye-popping numbers, but he's been rock solid this year. He leads all third basemen in Major League Baseball in WAR this year. He's had some up and down seasons this series, but this year he has been really good, even at the right beyond the age of 35. So he lands on one we've never gotten before. 24/7, 365. Make durability 99 for the rest of the year. Now, his durability is already a 94, so this doesn't really change too much, but still, I mean, he doesn't lose out by going up by 5. The Padres are kind of in the mix for the playoffs, but they certainly need a lot to go their way. I'm going to pick Leo DeVries. He's kind of a weird case because I think the Padres rushed him up, and I think his numbers have kind of suffered as a result, but he's gotten better each and every year, and he's only 22. He is ridiculously young. I kind of thought about trading for him today, but if he was 27, maybe the Padres would move off of him, but he's 22. He lands on crisscross, swap stats versus righties and lefties. He's pretty much even against both sides of the plate, so I don't really think this is going to do a whole lot. Might help him out a little bit since he's usually better against lefties. Arizona's in the same boat as the Padres. They're in the race, but they need a lot to go their way. If they were in the AL, they'd be a clear playoff team, but I still feel like there's something missing from this team. Maybe that's Corbin Carroll being good. He's been terrible this year. He's been really disappointing throughout the entire series. This year in particular, it has hit a rock bottom for him. So he lands on overworked, injured for the next month. Sucks for Corbin Carroll. I don't know if this is that bad for the Diamondbacks because his numbers are stinky. Getting somebody else to play the outfield might be a blessing in disguise. Although we can't injure him because their entire team is hurt. So Brandon Pfaadt is going to be healthy a few days early. Congratulations. Now Corbin Carroll's on the injured list. And then last, and certainly least, we had the Colorado Rockies. I'm going to pick their all-star representative, though, Brian Ortiz. Even though he was an all-star, I feel like he's been quite disappointing throughout his career. A first-rounder in 2025. He's just really never made another step offensively. Negative WAR throughout his career. He lands on contact kid. Plus 20 contact, minus 20 power. I think this is kind of a good thing for him. Get the contact up, get the batting average up, get on base, and then worry about the power later. 94 contact against righties. That should be pretty fun for the Rockies over the next month or so. All right, it's time to play ball. We have got quite the schedule in August. The Yankees, the Royals, the Twins, the Royals again, Seattle, Cleveland, Baltimore. What do all those teams have in common? We are directly competing with them for playoff spots in the American League. Kansas City and Minnesota in particular, given that we're going for the division against them, so there's a lot on the line. We'll start with this 3-game set against the Yankees. They are only a half game behind us in the wild card race, so we really need to perform well against them. I'm going to player lock this first game with Cam Smith. Take a look at him in his White Sox debut. I'm not going to player lock Taj Bradley's first start, but we will pitch a full game with him later today, maybe his second or third start. So the trade deadline is passed, and even though the White Sox did not have a good month of July and really are not that good of a baseball team right now, we made a couple of big moves, adding Taj Bradley to the rotation and Cam Smith to the lineup. The first pitcher he'll face off against is a familiar face, the former White Sox Wilkerman Gonzalez, who is 6-0 over his last 7 starts. The numbers are not that impressive, but, I mean, he's winning games. So I guess the Yankees aren't too upset. I tried to find a move for the Yankees to make. Their starting rotation is rough, but they did not have the budget to go out and get anyone. I thought they'd be the perfect Paul Skeens spot, but they don't have the budget, and they don't have the farm system. Their farm is atrocious. Bryce Miller, meanwhile, on the bump for the White Sox as we go bottom 2, runner aboard. 1 away for Cam Smith against the former White Sox Wilkerman Gonzalez, a young guy I was excited about, showed some good things for us early, but he just kind of got lost in the game of musical chairs for us, and there wasn't a spot for him. First pitch, Smith sees up the middle, grounded to short. George Lombard deflects it, tries to flip it to second. Everybody is safe. An infield single for Cam Smith, and the White Sox have 2 runners aboard. Colson Montgomery would bring home the runner at second, making it 1-0. And Smith's got a big spot here. 2 on, 2 away, a chance to really blow this game up. And he goes down looking. He left 2 guys on base. He's already a perfect fit for the Chicago White Sox. Not a lot of offense in this game. It is a pitching duel. Bottom 6, both starters still in. As Smith grounds the 0-1. It's a chopper over to short. Play is made by Lombard. Good hustle to first. But it doesn't matter. The Yankees get him out anyway. Bottom 8, still 1-0. Kirk Cousins' cousin, Jake Cousins, is in the game. And Cam Smith's got 2 runners on base. A chance for us to give some run support, give Ezra a little more breathing room, and it's not going to happen. He grounds out to short. Lucky for us, we have arguably the best closer in baseball, and we ended up being fine. The White Sox win it 1-0. Cam Smith's White Sox debut goes 1 for 4 with an infield single. The real story of the game, though, is the pitching. Wilkerman Gonzalez went 7 innings. He struck out 10 and got the loss, which is sort of crazy because when it showed us his numbers at the beginning of the game during his win streak, his numbers were not that impressive. I guess the key is he has to pitch average and the Yankees win, and when he pitches well, they don't win. Bryce Miller, 7 2/3, no runs, struck out 9. Great game from him. Really interesting trade here with the Cardinals and the Rays. So Tampa Bay is getting Willie Vaccaro, a talented young player who rose through the minors, hasn't been great in the big leagues. Douglas Randolph has like 98 potential, though. I think that's a good deal for St. Louis. That brings us to the official deadline day. We'll simulate through the series against the Yankees and then 3 on the road against Detroit. Tied at 2, bottom of the 9th against New York here in this second game. Brandon Montgomery, the winning run is at second base for Douglas Cato, who swings in the dirt. That was not your pitch, buddy. Good pitch by John Curtis, the former White Sox. Oswaldo Escobedo hits this one high into right. Judge at the wall, makes the catch! Aaron Judge saves the game for the Yankees. I thought we might have won it there But Judge comes down with the acrobatic grab, even though he's like pushing 40 at this point. Top of the 10th, Ezra Valenzuela in the game. The Yankees have 2 runners aboard here, and we've got to get out of this inning without allowing any runs. Runners on the corners now for the big fella. Aaron Judge, grounder to second. Waldo picks it up, throw to first is in time. So Ezra Valenzuela comes in, pitches a scoreless 10th, does not allow the extra innings runner to score, and the White Sox would end up walking it off. In the bottom of the 10th, the hero was Shane Schmidt, the rookie, with an RBI single to win it for the White Sox 3-2. We ended up winning the last game as well, so we swept the Yankees. Really good start post-trade deadline against a team who we are in direct competition with for a wild card spot. Here in this second game, got to shout out Shane, drove in the winning run. He also homered earlier. Hayden Wisniewski with another good start. Now into Detroit. We lead 3-2. Bottom 9, 1 away, tie and run at first for my glorious king, my knight in shining armor, Kevin McGonigal, who goes down on the fastball. Good pitch by Ezra Valenzuela, looking to end the game right here. Josue De Paula is up for Detroit, down to the final strike, and De Paula hits it down the line and fair. Julks has to make an aggressive cut to the ball because otherwise that runner is scoring with no problem. It doesn't work for Julks, and the runner is safe. An RBI double. Josue De Paula ties it at 3. Ezra blows the save. Now the Tigers go for the walk-off. Rengifo, grounder to third. Smith picks it up, throw to first. In time. Good defense at the hot corner by Cam Smith. Finally getting some consistent defense at third base. We haven't really had that throughout the series. Top of the 10th, 2 on, 2 away. Look who's up to bat. The new kid on the block. Cam Smith 0 for 3 with a walk in this one. His biggest at bat as a White Sox so far against Yency Almonte goes down on the sinker. The Tigers would end up walking it off in the bottom of the 10th. Jose Ramirez, an RBI single, and the 5-game winning streak for the White Sox is snapped. So post-All-Star break, we lost our first 7. Then we won our next 5. This team doesn't make sense. Schmidt homers again. Bimo does as well. Noah Schultz pitched well. That's encouraging. Really, the only pitcher who didn't was Ezra, who ends up getting the loss. Was not his day. Let's hop into this last matchup here against Detroit. We did end up winning the second game. So this is the rubber match. Ryan Noda, bottom 9. Foul ball! That was a close call. We are lucky. That would have lost the game had that been fair. 1-2 from Murphy. Grounder to third. Smith tags the runner. And we are off into extra innings once again as Penn Murphy gets us out of the jam. Well, unfortunately, we would not get to hop in, and the Tigers would walk it off again. Kevin McGonigal, RBI double to win it for Detroit, 3-2. Penn Murphy is the one who gets credited with the loss. Colson Montgomery homers. He was our only run support. We didn't really get much offense today. Murphy allowed the big hit, but it wasn't really an earned run from him. Bryce Miller pitched pretty well. Matt Manning was good too, and then the Tigers' bullpen was really solid. So we only took 1 against Detroit. We did win this last game against the Yankees, as I mentioned, 8-1. Really solid team win. Cato, Marte, Sanabria, Waldo, all homer, and then Drew Thorpe was awesome. The win against Detroit, 5-3. We had homers from Julks, Marte, and Caro. Taj Bradley made his White Sox debut, and he was awesome. 7 innings, 2-run ball, only allowed 5 base runners, only struck out 3. But you don't need to get the swing and miss stuff if you're getting outs. So I wanted to stop here for a couple reasons. One, we're about to embark on the biggest stretch of our season. We're still the 3rd wild card. We're still 3rd in the division, but we're now only 1 back. Of our next 4 series, 3 of them are against the Royals and the Twins. 3 in Kansas City, 3 at home against Minnesota, 3 at home against, actually 4 at home against the Royals. So that would be 11 of our next 14 games are against the 2 teams ahead of us in the division. Before we get started, though, let's take a look at our draft class. Whoa, we got some good players here. Bruno Merced, our first rounder. Dog. 79 overall, 94 potential. Did we just draft another Ezra Valenzuela? I don't know exactly what his role is going to be yet. We've talked about the idea of making Ezra a starter. Bruno Merced could also theoretically start. His stamina is good enough to where we could develop that. Odell Herring, we had an A potential pitcher to the system. We've been missing that ever since we traded away Rod White a couple years ago. Hitoki Sato looks like a big miss in the third round, but then Richie Lindsey, who we discovered, 73 overall with 90 potential. Good contact, good vision, good defense, good speed. I see some Barney Wagner in his game, and he might have a little bit more upside given what he provides with the glove. The last 2 picks also not too bad either. As for some of the other drafts, Cleveland did well. Walt Tharp looks really good. Detroit only signed 2 of their picks. The Royals got a 96 potential kid, while Minnesota drafted a generational infielder, Nori Ishii, 79 overall second baseman. So the Twins, within a matter of 20 minutes, add him and James Wood. The Astros had a nice draft. The A's drafted a 98 potential first baseman, Mariano Escobedo. As you'll notice, this year's draft class was loaded. This is definitely the best class we've had in this series so far. A ton of talent. The Nationals with a couple of gems late. The Cubs got a good player in the first round. The Brewers, 99 potential, Fisher Hernandez. Lloyd Wardenkeeper, we looked at him. He goes to the Pirates. Heath Green, 96 potential. Jarvis Pittenger, 99 potential. I like Pittenger a lot for our second rounder. He ended up going right before us in the first round. Clearly, Arizona was onto something. He looks awesome. Alan Olsen with the Giants looks good. He can be in the rotation soon enough. The Red Sox drafted potentially 3 impact players. The Rays got a 95 potential kid. Alex Negron with the Blue Jays, 94 potential. He was a prospect I really liked, disregarding the medical question marks. So this was a really, really good class, and I'm happy we were able to take advantage. Bruno Merced, in particular, he's a guy who might not have to play in the minors, much like Ezra Valenzuela. And then Richie Lindsey, I don't think is too far off either. So we got 2 guys who really could contribute for us sooner than later, which is exciting. Now we get to the pivotal stretch of our season. Kansas City, Minnesota, Kansas City again. The Royals have not been great since the deadline, so because of that, I think I'm going to play the full game against Minnesota. That's when Taj Bradley is scheduled to pitch anyway, and I wanted to use him. So we're going to hop into this first game against the Royals. Cam Smith has homered twice in a game that we currently lead 4-1. Smith hits that ball high and deep into center. At the track, at the wall, it's caught. I thought we were going to get the hat trick there. Close, but no cigar, unfortunately. White Sox still get the win, though. We would add a couple of runs here late. Shane Schmidt, Kyle Teal, couple of RBI singles as we win the first game against the Royals 6-1. So this important 13-game stretch over the next 2 weeks, we're off to a good start, 1-0. Ideally, I'd love to win 7, 8, maybe 9 games during this run, especially against Kansas City and Minnesota. Cam Smith leads the way, 3 for 5. His first and second homer is a White Sox. Hayden Wesneski, 6 scoreless. Regular day in the office for him. And again, I reiterate, once Hagen Smith comes back, Hayden's not losing his spot in the rotation. He's playing too well. Here in this second game against the Royals, we're down 2-1. Top of the 8th. Ketel Marte in off the bench. We've got 2 runners on against the lefty on Hill, Zerpa, who gets him fishing on the slider. Very nice pitch for the first out of the inning. 2 away now. We're going to bring in Jason Morobel off the bench for his contact. 0-2. Good take. High outside fastball. Zerpa doesn't like the call, and honestly, it's hard to blame him. That did hit the corner of the zone. 1-2 pitch on the way for Morobel after a good take. And then he swings in the dirt. Can we please have a baseball team that makes sense? So despite having 2 runners on and nobody out, we do not score anybody there. Not great. So from there, we're going to continue to simulate. And we ended up getting some good news. The team's going to have another shot here in the top of the 9th. So Douglas Cato reaches base. Arguably our fastest base runner becomes the tying run. And there's nobody out. We'll start with Oswaldo Escobedo. He's 2 for 3. Waldo crushes this ball into right center. That one bounces. It'll one hop off the wall for a ground rule double, which kind of sucks because if that ball stayed in the field of play, Cato would have scored. Now Cam Smith is up. He's got 2 more hits today, 5 of 9 in the series with 2 runners in scoring position. Smith puts it on the ground. Horner with the scoop. We'll take that, though, because it drives in Cato from third. Waldo makes it to third. We can live with that. Game is tied, and the go-ahead run is 90 feet away from home. That'll bring up Shane Schmidt, who strikes out on 3 pitches. Not as good of an at-bat as the one we just saw from Smith. Now that'll bring up Kyle Teal, also behind 0-2. Up the middle, base hit. Had to protect. Down 0-2, swings at a pitch out of the zone, but it works out as the White Sox take the lead 3-2. Big-time swing for Kyle Teal, and the Royals are going to make a switch. The all-star closer, Miguel Lozano, blows the save, and Lucas Gilbreth is in to replace him. 5.64 ERA on the year. He has not been very good as he faces off against Edgar Caro, also behind 0-2. And Caro clobbers it into left field. That baby is gone. 392 for Caro. The White Sox have exploded here in the ninth as it's 5-2, his 16th home run of the year. I give Caro credit. He's been good over the last month or so. It's been a disappointing year for him, but he's playing better. He's looking a lot more like the Edgar Caro who took the league by storm as a rookie. Braden Montgomery looking to keep the party going. That one hit well into right center, and that one will bounce over the fence for another ground rule double into the fountain. So we have another runner in scoring position. That'll bring up Corey Julks. The average all the way down to 296. How disappointing. Grounder to short. Bobby Witt Jr. makes the play, but what an inning for the White Sox. We get 4, capped off by a 2-run blast by Edgar Caro, and that would be the difference. The White Sox get the win, 5-2. We've already won the series with one more game to go, looking to get the sweep. Really good showing down the stretch. The fellas are playing rock, paper, scissors. The vibes are high. And I guess our trade deadline moves lit a spark. We're 6-2 since the deadline. Cam Smith's playing really well. Edgar Caro today, 4 for 4, 3 singles, a walk, and the clinching home run. Drew Thorpe, another good start. Thorpe is starting to look a lot more like his old self. He's been really solid. He has been stacking up a few good games in a row. Unfortunately, we did not get the sweep. Noah Schultz did not pitch very well. Pablo Lopez, 6 1/3 scoreless. We still took 2 against Kansas City. It's hard to be too upset. Bringing us into this series against Minnesota. We're 1 game behind Minnesota. We're half a game behind Cleveland. And we are currently the 3rd wild card in the AL. The Royals seem to be falling apart a little bit. So now our attention specifically focuses on Minnesota and Cleveland. This is our biggest series of the year so far. We've got to take at least 2. And since we're a game behind them, if we were to take 2, that would tie things up in the division. If we sweep the series, then we would have the division lead. But let's say they get hot. Maybe they win all 3 games. Then things become trouble for us. We've got Taj Bradley making his home debut. His first start last weekend in Detroit went pretty well. 7 scoreless. He only allowed 5 hits, 0 walks. As we take a look at both lineups, 1-9, and we take a look at Taj Bradley. An impending free agent this offseason, Bradley has certainly helped out his wallet quite a bit. And we're also hoping he can help out a potential playoff run for us. 2.85 ERA, 1.13 whip. I don't think he's going to really contend for the AL Cy Young, but he should be on the short list in terms of the top 6, maybe 7 guys in the race as Johnny DeLuca goes down on the 12-6 curve. 2 away for the shortstop, Carlos Correa, who crushes this ball into left field. Bang, bang. Do I hear the trash cans? Solo home run for Correa. And Minnesota's on the board first as it's 1-0. Correa's a guy I actually looked at for a short time to potentially trade for, but I figured Minnesota competing with us in the division probably wouldn't. But if he was on a bad team, I would have been very interested. As Brooks Lee goes down looking. Not a bad start, though, for the Twins. They're on the board with the homer by Correa. Let's take a look at Bailey Ober, all 6'10" of him. 3.85 ERA, 1.19 whip in his second stint with the Twins. Traded away at the start of Season 3 to the Braves. Didn't really work out there and then signs back in Minnesota. As Kyle Teal chases the high heat. Brother, that was not the pitch to swing at. And then we move into the top of the second. 1-2 for Matt Wallner. He grounds that one down the line. Fair ball past the glove of the third baseman, Colson Montgomery. Colson's at third today, while Cam Smith plays right. Again, Smith's defensive versatility showing in this one as Andrew Vaughn, White Sox legend, draws a walk. 2 early runners with nobody out for Minnesota. This is a real chance to get going on Taj Bradley early. as Ryan Jeffers goes down on the fastball. Bradley has not had his best stuff so far, especially after that great game against Detroit where he threw 7 shutty in the win. Michael Massey, 2 away, swing and a miss. Bradley gets out of the jam. He allowed 2 early runners. Minnesota unable to score either of them. He's starting to feel himself a little bit more now as we go bottom 2. Edgar Caro checks his swing. Did not go around. That's a walk. Caro's approach at the plate, I think, is one of the bigger reasons why he's played better over the last month or so. It feels like he's drawing more walks as Cam Smith belts that one into left field for a base hit. And now the White Sox are in the exact same position that Minnesota was in during the top of the inning with 2 on and nobody out. Shane Schmidt now for the Sox. Swinging a miss on the circle change. Good pitch by Ober. Gets him ahead of that one for the first out of the inning. Colson Montgomery up the middle. That's a base knock, and it should score Caro. Not going to be an easy play. Good throw in center. That was actually really close. But it's an RBI single for Colson Montgomery, who has played pretty well so far in the month of August. I'll give him credit. Braden Montgomery puts it on the ground. 6-4-3 double play. And the inning is over. We only get 1. Could have been worse. Could have been a lot better at the same time. Johnny DeLuca singles into center field. Minnesota's got themselves another runner here with 1 away. That'll bring up Carlos Correa. Homer during his first at-bat of the game. We'll see what he can do in bat number 2. The 1-1. That one gets away from Teal. DeLuca for second. Teal hesitates on the throw. I don't think he would have gotten him because DeLuca's fast, but maybe he would have been close. 2-1 for Correa, and encore! High and inside fastball, and it doesn't matter. That one goes over the fence, not by much, but it does. 380 feet, 13th home run of the year, and second of the game for Correa. 3-1 lead for the Twins. 2 away now for Matt Wallner. Base hit his first time up. Swinging a miss on the 12-6. Taj Bradley has some nasty movement, but Carlos Correa has also had his number today, homering twice in each of his first 2 at-bats. Bottom 3, back to the top of the order. Corey Julks into the opposite field. This one will roll to the fence in right center, and it looks like it'll be a double. I give Julks a lot of credit because he's been very hot and cold throughout his career, but ever since that big month of May he hasn't really gotten cold since then. He's continued to be really productive. That guy's hero is Ketel Marte. Will we get a historic swing from Ketel Marte with the count even 2-2? No. Instead, he swings at a high fastball and whiffs. 2 away for Kyle Teal. Got him looking. Great pitch by Bailey Ober. Gets out of the inning for Minnesota as it remains 3-1. Taj Bradley has not pitched great so far. He's allowed his fair share of base runners. He's let up a couple of homers. We'll see if he can get into a groove, especially with his pitch count kind of high. I don't know how much longer he's going to last. Pause as he strikes out Yanquiel Fernandez on the cutter. Ryan Jeffers, 2-2. Swing and a miss. And the 12-6. Good pitch by Bradley. That was his best inning of the game. 1-2-3. Retires the side as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Still 3-1. Edgar Caro walked his first time up. Count is full. And he walks again. Cutter had some nice movement late. Good take by Edgar. Second walk of the night for our first baseman today. As that one gets away, Edgar hesitates, goes back to first. Umpire says he's safe. Now he's out. What? Hold on a minute. Did the umpire not just say he was safe? I'm so confused. What happened? So as you can see, look at the umpire. Safe. Then why is Edgar leaving the base? I'm so confused. He took his hand off. He originally was safe, but he took his hand off. What are you doing, Edgar? As Cam Smith strikes out, and Shane Schmidt does as well. 4 innings of 1-run ball for Bailey Ober. Not necessarily a 1-2-3 inning, but he only had to face off against 3 batters. It's unconventional, but he gets the job done. Top of the 5th, Kalen Culpepper swinging a miss. Teal has to pick that one up, and he misses the throw over to first base. The one thing with Taj Bradley is that his pitches move so much. Kyle Teal seems to be having a hard time adjusting and catching them all. As Johnny DeLuca strikes out, that'll bring up Carlos Correa. Homered in the first, homered in the third. 2-2. Swing and a miss! On the cutter. Bradley gets out of the 5th. Cannot imagine he will go much farther. We'll see if they keep him for the 6th. Bottom 5, Colson Montgomery goes down looking. drove in our only run of the game so far in his last at-bat. 3-2 as Waldo Escobedo draws a walk. Overall, the plate discipline in this game from the White Sox has been pretty good. We're getting guys on base, and we're having opportunities to drive them in. Look at Julks into right center. It goes off the wall. It's his second double of the game. Waldo scores standing up, and the White Sox are within one. Corey Julks with his second extra base hit. That'll bring up Ketel Marte now. Marte hits it well. 106 off the bat, perfectly into the glove of Johnny DeLuca. White Sox do add one, though, as we move into the sixth. Taj Bradley did face off against the first batter and got him out. I wanted Bradley to face off against the first guy, so then we could bring in Brock Burke for the lefty-on-lefty matchup with Matt Wallner. Minnesota's got a couple lefties due up. I figured I would wait to bring Burke in until then. Sure enough, gets Wallner on the slider. The plan so far appears to be working to perfection. The one caveat is that we have to have a lefty against Andrew Vaughn, who hits lefties pretty well, and King Vaughn swings and misses at the fastball. So Bradley and Burke combined to retire. The side will go bottom six. Dennis Santana in for Minnesota. He's bounced around throughout this series, but he's been consistently pretty good. Kyle Teal leads off the inning. That one hit into the opposite field. It is a fair ball. It bounces over the fence to the left at the foul pole for a ground rule double. So Teal is in scoring position, and Edgar Caro is going to score him. Crushes this ball into center. 459. An absolute piss missile off the bat of Edgar Caro, and the White Sox take the lead 4-3. 17th home run of the year, and maybe his longest of the season. I mean, that ball was absolutely annihilated. Everybody in the stadium knew it was gone as soon as it hit the bat. Cam Smith now up for the White Sox. He goes down on the slider. Good pitch there by Santana, looking to rebound after allowing the home run, as Shane Schmidt draws a walk. Runner aboard for Chicago, and we'll see if they can bring him in, looking to add to the lead. Colson Montgomery goes down looking again. I don't know what he was waiting for. That was a pretty good pitch to swing at. That'll bring up Braden Montgomery now. The 1-2. BMO. Sharp liner past the diving glove of the first baseman. We're going to keep Schmidt at second. I think he would have been out at third, given that he's pretty slow. 2 on, 2 away for Oswaldo Escobedo. He's been pretty good, at least today, in clutch spots. So even though he pops it up here, I can't get mad at him too much. His batting average with runners on scoring position this year is still like below 200. It's still not good, but it's gone up in August. Good inning, though. Edgar Caro with a 2-run blast. But the White Sox ahead 4-3. We're going to keep Burke in for just this at-bat. It's Yanquiel Fernandez. Again, the lefty-on-lefty matchup. Burke strikes him out. Now we're going to bring him out of the game, and we are going to enter in Jairo Iriarte, who pitched really well early in the season. Over the last month or two, not so much. Ryan Jeffers, his first batter, launches it into left. That one is gone into the Chicago bullpen, and we are tied at 4. Ryan Jeffers, his 10th of the year. Iriarte looks to get out of the inning against Kalen Culpepper, who swings way too early on the changeup. Twins tie it, though. Back and forth affair like ping pong. As we go bottom 7, James McArthur having a nice year with the Twins. 2.93 ERA. Lefty's only hitting 134 against him, which is strange because he's not a lefty. Corey Julks swings at the curveball. That pitch was low, goes in the dirt. Jeffers makes the throw. McArthur would make it out of the rest of the inning as we move into the 8th. Carlos Estevez is in for the White Sox. I didn't know what to expect from Estevez this year, but he's been pretty good. 3.17 ERA. He's been exactly what we could have asked for as the number 2, number 3 guy in the bullpen. Although Correa hits that one over the fence. Ground rule double. His 3rd extra base knock of the game. Runner in scoring position. Brooks Lee swinging out of his shoes. Very good pitch by Carlos Estevez. That'll bring up Matt Wallner. 1-2. Swinging on this on the 12-6. Estevez gets us out of the 8th. The game remains tied at 4. We'll go bottom half. 1 away for Cam Smith, who draws a walk against Griffin Jacks, who is coming to the game for Minnesota. That'll bring up Shane Schmidt. That ball is hit high and pretty deep in the left center. Back at the track, at the wall. It is gone! Barely nearly scrapes over the fence into the first row, but all home runs are created equal. The rookie with the big fly ball, his 16th of the year, 386 feet, and the White Sox lead 6-4. Douglas Cato, as a pinch hitter, gets plunked. I'm surprised he didn't break his hip there. Credit to him for staying in the game. As Oswaldo Escobedo grounds it to third, Culpepper makes the play. Good inning, though. Shane Schmidt, 2-run shot, and Ezra Valenzuela can come in and get the save. I think Ezra's been kind of off his game, though, so far in the month of August. So hopefully we can have a get-right game. We're up by 2, so he has a little breathing room, but he's still got to be his dominant self. As Andrew Vaughn chases the curveball for the first out of the inning. Ryan Jeffers homered earlier. Homers again! Good night, baseball. We are within 1. This time it goes into the Twins bullpen, 396 feet. That ball went a mile in the air, over the moon. His 11th of the year. So Carlos Correa's homered twice. Ryan Jeffers is homered twice. Yet Minnesota's still losing. Massey goes down on the cutter. That'll do it. The White Sox take the first of 3 here at home against the Twins, 6-5. And what ended up being a really exciting game, back and forth. A lot of power. Minnesota homered 4 times. 2 for Correa, 2 for Jeffers. But it was not enough because the rest of the offense combined for 3 hits. 19 strikeouts as well for Minnesota. That is a lot. As for us, offense did what they needed to. Caro homered, Schmidt with the big one late. Corey Julks was really good. Taj Bradley was not great, but he did strike out 11. Either Minnesota connected on the ball and hit it really well, or they completely missed it. So with that, we are now tied with Minnesota and Cleveland, for what it's worth. A 3-way tie for first place in the division at 60 and 56. We'll get through these last 2 games against the Twins, looking to potentially take first place. Then we've got the Rays, 4 against the Royals, the Mariners, the Guardians on the road, and then at Baltimore, the Orioles, the number 2 seed right now in the AL. So a lot of big games against a lot of AL playoff contenders. The last 2 games against Minnesota were not as exciting. In Game 2, we got blasted. We lost 11-2. Here in Game 3, we're doing the pounding. We're up 9-1. Another multi-hit game. Cam Smith, 3 for 3, 2 homers. He's driven in 4. I guess whenever he homers, he has to do it twice. How about 3 times? Okay, no, that was a big ask. White Sox do get the win, though, 9-2. As Yanquiel Fernandez hits a huge home run to cut the lead all the way to 7. Overall, good series. I'll take it. We win 2 of 3 against Minnesota, and we are tied with them for the division lead. So far, so good with this important stretch, having won 2 games in Kansas City and then 2 at home against Minnesota. You can't really complain with a series win, even though we were unable to get the sweep either time. 14 hits. Teal homered. Marte homered. Cam Smith obviously homered twice. The pitching was really solid as well. Hayden Wisniewski, 8 innings of 2-run ball. Why'd they keep him in for 8 innings? I don't get it. Were they trying to flex? I mean, I think that's his longest start ever. Seems kind of pointless because we were up big, but good for him, I guess. As I continue to simulate, Hagen Smith off the injured list. That's exciting, but now we've got to make some tough decisions. We're going to send down Jairo Iriarte to AAA. It does put him on optional waivers. I don't think anyone's going to pick him up. He just hasn't played well enough, I feel like, to be in the bullpen. Everybody else here is pretty proven. Who will take his spot in the bullpen will actually be Hagen Smith. I don't see who he would take in the rotation, and given that he hasn't really pitched much this year, he's thrown 5 innings in the last 4 months, I think easing him in anyway is probably the best way to go about this. Like, a guy like Wisniewski, with how well he's been doing, we have to continue to start him, right? I mean, there's no discussion. Maybe we get to a point later in the year where Hagen Smith returns to the rotation. I don't know whose spot he would take, but it will not be Hayden Wisniewski's. So we're going to hop into the second game against the Rays. We won the first one, which is good. Here in game number 2, Anderson Blackburn with the bases loaded, 1 away in the bottom of the 9th. That ball is going to drop, and that is going to do it. The Rays walk it off 3-2. Now, even if that ball was caught, they would have tagged up the runner anyway. But still, not unfortunate, losing off of the walk-off. Our offense just was not good enough. 2 runs, 8 hits. Claudio Rubio homered. 3 hits for Romeo Sanabria, 2 for Cam Smith, but a lot of the regulars were not so good. As for the pitching, Noah Schultz was pretty good. We'll take that. Penn Murphy was not so good, though, allowing 4 base runners in the 9th. Brent Rooker homers for the Rays. Blackburn had the winning RBI. Luis Frias, 6 innings, 2 earned runs. His ERA goes down to 10.3. Here in this last game against the Rays, we're up 2-1, looking to avoid the walk-off. Ezra Valenzuela in for the save. Problem is Connor Juan just hit a triple. Marte, the bunt. Waldo to home. Not in time! We are tied at 2. Waldo goes for the big play. It was close, but we just missed. Runner now goes for second. He is safe, and all of a sudden, the Rays had the winning run in scoring position. 2-2 for Ha-Seong Kim. Grounded to short. Marte, backhanded throw, not in time. That's not really the worst thing in the world, because the runner that matters is the runner at second. Now this sets up a force out. Maybe we can turn 2 here. Sagassi over to second. We get 1. Okay, not horrible. There's still a force out at second base. Double play would still end the inning. Mac Horvath, 1-0. Schmidt bobbles it. Throw to second is offline. And the Rays walk it off again, 3-2. That was going to be a tough play regardless, but Shane Schmidt lost control of the ball, causing him to have to throw it off balance and completely missing the base. Ezra Valenzuela takes the loss, lets up 2 earned runs. As I said earlier, he has not been on his A game as of recent. I don't know what the deal is, but he's got to get rolling. His ERA is all the way up to 2.7. That might be the biggest I've ever seen it. Taj Bradley against his former team, though, was pretty good, arguably out-dueling Shane McClanahan. So even though we only take 1, we're still tied with Minnesota. We're still tied with Cleveland. The Astros, look at them. They've won 8 of their last 10. They are firmly in the playoff mix now. They were out of it in the trade deadline, and if they knew they were going to be this good, would they have kept Cam Smith? You'd have to think the answer would be yes, right? Cincinnati has put a claim in for Jairo Iriarte. Now, we could have reversed the claim, but I'm going to say no. And the reason is, for a team who's chasing a playoff spot, I want to put our best relievers on the big league roster, and I just don't think Jairo Iriarte is one of them. I think the talent is there, even though it just hasn't consistently shown. Hopefully it works out for him in Cincinnati. We were just never able to tap it in with him, and we gave him a lot of chances. Maybe a change of scenery does him well, but Jairo Iriarte no longer with the squad. As we now go into our second series with the Royals, we are down 1-0 here in the bottom of the 8th of the second game. We lost the first one, so we've already got some work to do. And this is a pretty good start. Kyle Teal with an RBI single. We are knotted up. Big swing for the 2-time All-Star. As Lucas Erceg is yanked out of the game, he'll be replaced by Jose Quijada. 5.49 ERA. This is a guy we can hit off of. Let's maybe get a hit. Edgar Caro's having a good month of August. He's been really solid since the All-Star break. 0-2 gets plunked on the head. Okay, I didn't know we were headhunting out here. Bases loaded now for Shane Schmidt. And he lines the first pitch over to short. Hit it well. 107 off the bat. But Bobby Witt makes a good play. Schmidt leaves him loaded. We do tie the game, though, so I can't get too upset. Blake Mitchell, RBI single in the top half of the 10th. Now we've got to match that or win it in the bottom half. The closer, Miguel Lozano, against Corey Julks up the middle. That one goes for a hit, and this game should be tied. Jason Morobel safe at the plate, and we are knotted up. Big-time hit for Corey Julks. 1 away now for Kyle Teal. First pitch of the AB. This one is hit well. Into left field, at the track, at the wall. It's gone! Walk-off, 2-run homer for Kyle Teal. The White Sox tie the 4-game setup at Kansas City at 1. Teal, the hero, in Game 2 with the extra innings walk-off home run. Big-time showing from the offense down the stretch. We had virtually nothing going for us through 7+ innings, but we were clutch, and we got big hits when we needed them, particularly in the 10th. Ryan Pepio, 6 scoreless. Doesn't matter because their bullpen wasn't any good. Hayden Wesneski, meanwhile, 7 innings of 1-run ball. Regular day in the office for him. Nothing new. 3-1, bottom 9th here against the Royals. We lost the 3rd game of this series, We're looking to get the walk-off again. Corey Julks hits this one high and deep in the left. Back at the track, it is gone! Another walk-off winner for the White Sox. Kyle Teal had the walk-off home run in Game 2. Corey Julks does it in the fourth and final game to win it 4-3. So we split the series against Kansas City, and overall against the Royals, we go 4-3. Could have been a little better, but we went over 500, so I cannot get too upset at that. Julks, the player of the game, with the walk-off 3-run shot to seal the deal. Pablo Lopez, good start, but Lozano, the all-star closer, blows the game. Our offense was not all that impressive again, but we got the big hit when we needed it. Noah Schultz was okay. Bullpen was nails. Well, it's not all good news in the bullpen. Brock Burke broke his hand, and he will be put on the 60-day injured list. Maybe he comes back late October if we're still alive, making a miraculous run. This is a huge loss for us, though. One of our most consistent relievers, one of the best left-handed relievers in baseball. In terms of WAR against non-closing relievers, he is 6th. So this is a big loss. And the unluckiest team in baseball in terms of long-term injuries loses another guy. I'd love to bring up Jairo Uriarte right now, but he's not on the team anymore, so we're going to bring up Dre Jameson. Hagen Smith is now officially healthy. The timing is perfect now that we need a lefty in the bullpen. Luis Robert is also off the injured list and healthy. That's good news. We're going to bring Jason Morobel down to the minors. Keep in mind, September is right around the corner, so we could recall him up if we wanted to. He hasn't been very good here in the month of August, though, so hopefully he can get it back together. Jesus Christ, this team cannot catch a break. Penn Murphy tore his rotator cuff and is out for the year. Lovely. That's another guy in the bullpen on the 60-day. All of our injuries are super long-term ones. We have nobody on the 15-day injured list, yet we have damn near an entire roster on the 60-day. Murphy's a guy who's been a consistent veteran righty for us. He as well is having a really good season. Him and Burke are not necessarily the big names, but they are some of the glue in the bullpen that holds the team together. We don't have many choices to replace him. Again, having Jairo Uriarte would be nice right about now. So we're going to go the unconventional route and sign Joe Jimenez out of free agency. He has not pitched at all this year, but he's had some good seasons recently with Atlanta and Detroit. So we're going to give him a 1-year deal for a lot of money because that's the only way we can sign him for 1 year, and I don't want to make a long-term investment. He's going to be thrusted in there right away because we don't really have much of a choice otherwise. From there, we enter a big 3-game series against Cleveland. The Guardians are starting to fall a little bit. They're 2.5 behind, so this is a really important set for them. Well, in the first game, Drew Thorpe is throwing a no-hitter. 6 innings, 0 hits. He'll face off against Brian Ortiz. Wait a second. Hold on. We just spun the wheel for him today on the Rockies. He is not on the Rockies anymore. I guess Colorado traded him last minute at the deadline to Cleveland. Seems like the wheel spin has helped him. He's hitting .282. Huh, that's interesting. The Rockies saw that their young all-star 23-year-old first baseman had 94 contact, and they said, no, we don't want him. 0-2, swinging and miss on the slider. I don't entirely blame the Rockies for trading him just because he has not been a good player with them. The timing of it is just hilarious. As Tyler O'Neill hits that one high and deep in right field, it is caught for the second out of the inning. Speaking of first-time All-Stars, George Valera is up. The difference is that George Valera has actually been good this year. Goodbye, baseball. Goodbye, no-hitter. We are tied at 1. George Valera with a solo shot, his 22nd of the year, 398 feet. It's hard to get too upset with Drew Thorpe here because he has carried us through this game. The offense has not been good, while Thorpe nearly went 7 innings without allowing a hit as David Fry strikes out. That'll likely be it for Thorpe's night. Best game of his season, one of the best games of his career, if we're being honest. Drew Thorpe might finally be back. It took him like a whole year. Luckily, we still get the win. Corey Julks, 2-run homer. Julks has had a ton of big hits in today's episode. He's been very good. We win the game, though, 3-1. A good start to the series. The offense, again, not good, but clutch. I'm not used to this team making all these good, timely plays, but over the last 2 weeks, we have. Lou Bob, his first homer back, and obviously Thorpe was the main story. The Guardians only finished the game with 1 hit. Tyler Mahle was awesome, too. As we go into this next game, Tied at 4, top of the 9th here in Game 2 against Cleveland. Braden Montgomery is up, and I'm having none of it because he is 2 for his last 35. I'm not exaggerating. He's literally 2 for his last 35. So we're going to bring in Lou Bob off the bench. He's behind 0-2. Did he go around? I kind of thought he did. Umpire says no. We appreciate that, Blue. Count is full 3-2. Luis Robert is working a really nice at bat here, and he draws a walk. I did not know he had that in his arsenal, but I am impressed. Bases loaded. How are we going to mess this up? It's Claudio Rubio up. Just don't put it on the... Great. Oh. They didn't go for the double play. They only went for the out at first. I think they could have turned two if he threw it over to the shortstop. They could have ended the inning and kept the game tied. Hey, that works too. Douglas Cato over to short. Play is made. Throw to first is in time. The White Sox take the lead 5-4 off of a questionable decision in the infield. Ezra Valenzuela closes the door, and the White Sox take the second game in Cleveland. So we've already won this series. Now we are looking for the sweep in the third and final game. Cam Smith, 2 for 4, homer and a double. He's had an excellent first month with the Chicago White Sox. Noah Schultz was pretty blah, but the bullpen was good. So that'll bring us into this last game. Unlike the previous two matchups, not close. We are steamrolling them. It's 10-0 in the 8th. Edgar Caro has homered twice. He is looking for a third. We scored all of our runs in the second and third innings. 5 in the second, 5 in the third. Nothing since as Caro strikes out looking on the sinker. Cleveland would add a couple of runs late, but we still win the game a lot to a little. I think the final was 10-2. Yeah, George Valera homered again. Another really good showing, though, for the White Sox as we sweep the Guardians. We're now 5.5 games ahead of Cleveland. And now us and Minnesota are starting to separate a little bit in the American League Central Division race. Cleveland is starting to fall apart a little bit. Really good game from everyone. The offense was phenomenal. Caro homered twice. Colson went deep. 14 hits. Taj Bradley, 8 scoreless. I don't know why they kept him in so long. Joe Jimenez's White Sox debut, he allowed the homer to Valera, so he's not off to a great start. But it didn't matter. The team was up 10-0. Here we are against the Orioles. We're going to hop into the last game. We lost the first two, so now we're avoiding getting swept. Lucky for us, we have the lead, 4-2, and that's because Luis Robert has homered twice. He is fully back. Well, he's not going to get the third. He grounds over to second base, and I figured that would be his last at bat. Well, unfortunately, the White Sox blew it again. Ezra Valenzuela continues to struggle, and not having Brock Burke and Penn Murphy kind of hurts. 2-run double for Luis Torrens. We're tied at 4. The bullpen was the strength of our team for 4 months, and now they are quite literally falling apart. As Luis Robert is safe at first, it's an infield single. Runners on the corners, nobody out. There's no excuse not to score anybody here. Okay, well, we do score someone. Edgar Caro RBI double. But the Orioles get 2 in the bottom of the 10th, and they get the win 6-5. Ezra's the one who blew it in the 9th. He was not the one who allowed all the runs in the 10th. That was actually Joe Jimenez, who led up the 3-run homer to Kobe Mayo. Joe Jimenez has been pretty dreadful so far with the White Sox. If things don't turn around, we might end up DFAing him pretty quickly. But yeah, this bullpen is in rough shape. Joe Jimenez has forgotten how to pitch. Ezra has not been good. And then Brock Burke and Penn Murphy are out for the year. Getting swept by Baltimore certainly kills some of the momentum that we've built throughout the month because we had a really good month of August. We went 4-3 against the Royals, 2-1 against Minnesota, 3-0 against Cleveland. We're still tied for first place in the division, and we've given ourselves a little bit more of a buffer in the wild card race. Previously, I think we were only half a game in. Now, we're a lot more comfortably holding a spot down. We're tied for the second wild card spot. We're a game and a half in. So we had a good month of August, but that last series against the Orioles, we lost some juice. Really hard schedule to start September. We've got the Giants, who are really good. Then 7 games against Cleveland and Minnesota. The A's are really good as well. But then after that, it gets really easy. We've got Colorado. We've got Washington at the end. So a very front-loaded month. Some really good teams early. We're going to have to try to keep pace with Minnesota. If we do, then I like our chances because the schedule gets a lot easier. Next episode, we will probably wrap up the regular season. Hopefully, our White Sox can finally make it into the postseason for the first time in the series. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Peace out.